Hey, what's going on, everybody? You're here with email, and what I'm going to do is have Project 2025 Mandate for Leadership, the Conservative Promise. This right here is forwarded by Kevin Roberts, PhD, edited by Paul Dans and Stephen Groves. The objective of this video is so that we can hear, listen to the whole thing. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. This will be broken down part by part. Heritage Foundation. Table of contents.
Contents Acknowledgements. 9. The Project 2025 Advisory Board. 11. The 2025 Presidential Transition Project. A note on Project 2025. 13 authors. 15 contributors. XXV Forward. A Promise to America. 1. Kevin D. Roberts, PhD Section 1. Taking the Reins of Government. 19.1. White House Office. 23. Rick Dearborn 2. Executive Office of the President of the United States. 43. Russ Vaught 3. Central Personnel Agencies, Managing the Bureaucracy. 69. Donald Devine, Dennis Dean Kirk, and Paul Dans Section 2, The Common Defense. 87.4. Department of Defense. 91. Christopher Miller 5. Department of Homeland Security. 133. Ken Cuccinelli 6. Department of State. 171. Kyron K. Skinner 7. Intelligence Community. 201. Dustin J. Carmack 8. Media Agencies. 235. U.S. Agency for Global Media. 235. Moranamdar Corporation for Public Broadcasting. 246. Mike Gonzalez 9. Agency for International Development. 253. Max Primorak.
Section 3, the General Welfare.
10. Department of Agriculture. 289. Darren Baxt 11. Department of Education. 319. Lindsay M. Burke 12. Department of Energy and Related Commissions. 363. Bernard L. McNamee 13. Environmental Protection Agency. 417. Mandy M. Goneskara 14. Department of Health and Human Services. 449. Roger Severino 15. Department of Housing and Urban Development. 503. Benjamin S. Carson, Sr., MD 16. Department of the Interior. 517. William Perry Pendley 17. Department of Justice. 545. Gene Hamilton 18. Department of Labor and Related Agencies. 581. Jonathan Berry 19. Department of Transportation. 619. Diana Furcht-Gottroth 20. Department of Veterans Affairs. 641. Brooks D. Tucker.
Section 4, the Economy.
21. Department of Commerce. 663. Thomas F. Gilman 22. Department of the Treasury. 691 William L. Walton, Stephen Moore, and David R. Burton 23. Export, Import Bank, 717 The Export, Import Bank should be abolished, 717 Veronique Derugue The case for the Export, Import Bank. 724 Jennifer Hazelton 24. Federal Reserve, 731 Paul Winfrey 25. Small Business Administration, 745 Karen Kerrigan 26. Trade, 765 The case for fair trade, 765 Peter Navarro The case for free trade, 796 Kent Lassman Section 5, Independent Regulatory Agencies, 825-27. Financial Regulatory Agencies, 829 Securities and Exchange Commission and related agencies, 829 David R. Burton Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, 837 Robert Bose 28. Federal Communications Commission, 845 Brendan Carr 29. Federal Election Commission, 861 Hans Avon Spakowski 30. Federal Trade Commission, 869 Adam Kenjib Onward, 883 Edwin J. Foylner. Acknowledgements. This work, Mandate for Leadership 2025, The Conservative Promise, is a collective effort of hundreds of volunteers who have banded together in the spirit of advancing positive change for America. Our work is by no means the comprehensive compendium of conservative policies, nor is our group the exclusive cotter of conservative thinkers. The ideas expressed in this volume are not necessarily shared by all. What unites us is the drive to make our country better. First and foremost, we thank the chapter authors and contributors who gave so freely of their time in service of their country. We were particularly grateful to have the help of dedicated members of the Heritage Foundation's management and policy teams. Executive Vice President Derek Morgan, Chief of Staff Wesley Coopersmith, Associate Director of Project 2025 Spencer Crate-Yan, and Thomas A. Rowe Institute for Economic Policy Studies Director Paul Ray devoted a significant amount of their valuable time to reviewing and editing the lengthy manuscript and provided expert advice and insight. The job of transforming the work of dozens of authors and hundreds of contributors into a cohesive manuscript fell upon Heritage's formidable team of editors led by Director of Research Editors Therese Pennefather, Senior Editor William T. Poole, Marla Hess, Jessica Lothar, Karina Rollins, and Kathleen Skatero, without whose tireless efforts you would not be reading these words. The talented work of Data Graphics Services Manager John Fleming, Manager of Web Development and Print Projects Jay Simon, Director of Marketing Elizabeth Fender, Senior Graphic Designer Grace DeSandro, and Senior Designer Melissa Bluey came together to bring the volume to life. We also thank the dedicated junior staff who provided immeasurable assistance, especially Jordan Embry, Sarah Calves, and Jonathan Moy. Most important, we are grateful to the leadership, supporters, and donors of each of the Project 2025 Advisory Board member organizations and those of the Heritage Foundation, without whom Project 2025 would not be possible. Thank you. Paul Dans and Stephen Groves. The Project 2025 Advisory Board Alabama Policy Institute Alliance Defending Freedom American Compass The American Conservative America First Legal Foundation American Accountability Foundation American Center for Law and Justice American Cornerstone Institute American Council of Trustees and Alumni American Legislative Exchange Council The American Main Street Initiative American Moment American Principles Project Center for Equal Opportunity Center for Family and Human Rights Center for Immigration Studies Center for Renewing America Claremont Institute Coalition for a Prosperous America Competitive Enterprise Institute Conservative Partnership Institute Concerned Women for America Defense of Freedom Institute Ethics and Public Policy Center, Family Policy Alliance, Family Research Council, First Liberty Institute, Forge Leadership Network, Foundation for Government Accountability, Freedom Works, the Heritage Foundation, Hillsdale College, Honest Elections Project, Independent Women's Forum. Institute for the American Worker, Institute for Energy Research, Institute for Women's Health, Intercollegiate Studies Institute, James Madison Institute, Keystone Policy, the Leadership Institute, Liberty University, National Association of Scholars, National Center for Public Policy Research, Pacific Research Institute, Patrick Henry College, Personnel Policy Operations, Recovery for America Now Foundation, 1792 Exchange, Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America, Texas Public Policy Foundation. Teneo Network, Young America's Foundation. The 2025 Presidential Transition Project. A note on Project 2025, we want you. The 2025 Presidential Transition Project is the conservative movement's unified effort to be ready for the next conservative administration to govern at 12 o'clock noon, January 20th, 2025. Welcome to the mission. By opening this book, you are now a part of it. Indeed, one set of eyes reading these passages will be those of the 47th President of the United States, and we hope every other reader will join in making the incoming administration a success. History teaches that a president's power to implement an agenda is at its apex during the administration's opening days. To execute requires a well-conceived, coordinated, unified plan and a trained and committed cadre of personnel to implement it. In recent election cycles, presidential candidates normally began transition planning in the late spring of election year or even after the party's nomination was secured. That is too late. The federal government's complexity and growth advance at a seemingly logarithmic rate every 4 years. For conservatives to have a fighting chance to take on the administrative state and reform our federal government, the work must start now. The entirety of this effort is to support the next conservative president, whoever he or she may be. In the winter of 1980, the fledgling Heritage Foundation handed to President-elect Ronald Reagan the inaugural mandate for leadership. This collective work by conservative thought leaders and former government hands, most of whom were not part of Heritage, set out policy prescriptions, agency by agency, for the incoming president. The book literally put the conservative movement and Reagan on the same page, and the revolution that followed might never have been, save for this band of committed and volunteer activists. With this volume, we have gone back to the future and then some. It's not 1980. In 2023, the game has changed. The long march of cultural Marxism through our institutions has come to pass. The federal government is a behemoth, weaponized against American citizens and conservative values, with freedom and liberty under siege as never before. The task at hand to reverse this tide and restore our republic to its original moorings is too great for any one conservative policy shop to spearhead. It requires the collective action of our movement. With the quickening approach of January 2025, we have 2 years and one chance to get it right. Project 2025 is more than 50, and growing, of the nation's leading conservative organizations joining forces to prepare and seize the day. The axiom goes: personnel is policy, and we need a new generation of Americans to answer the call and come to serve. This book is functionally an invitation for you, the reader, Mr. Smith, Mrs. Smith, and Ms. Smith, to come to Washington or support those who can. Our goal is to assemble an army of aligned, vetted, trained, and prepared conservatives to go to work on day one to deconstruct the administrative state. The project is built on 4 pillars. Pillar I. This volume puts in one place a consensus view of how major federal agencies must be governed, and where disagreement exists brackets out these differences for the next president to choose a path. Pillar 2 is a personnel database that allows candidates to build their own professional profiles and our coalition members to review and voice their recommendations. These recommendations will then be collated and shared with the president-elect's team, greatly streamlining the appointment process. Pillar 3 is the Presidential Administration Academy, an online educational system taught by experts from our coalition. For the newcomer, this will explain how the government functions and how to function in government. For the experienced, we will host in-person seminars with advanced training and set the bar for what is expected of senior leadership. In Pillar 4, the playbook, we are forming agency teams and drafting transition plans to move out upon the president's utterance of "So help me God." As Americans living at the approach of our nation's 250th birthday, we have been given much. As conservatives, we are as much required to steward this precious heritage for the next generation. On behalf of our coalition partners, we thank you and invite you to come join with us at project2025.org. Paul Dance, Director, Project 2025.
Hey, what's going on? Here with email, and we have just gotten through. Really, have not even started. We're about to go through the authors. The authors is very, very important because, like the acknowledgement said, they don't share the same ideas, but they do share the same mission. So, with that being said, a lot of them are going to be mad because they're not even understanding that the mission is bigger than their mission. So, grand scheme of things, you want this 20%. You want this 20%, but you forgot about this 80%. And that 20% that you about to give up is going to hurt you with that 80% that you had with the administrations that cared about its people. And we're going to learn about that. Looking at this, it says, let me get put back to screen. This is the advisory board, Alabama Policy Institute. These individuals, they are the institutes that you should make a point to learn about. Learn about these institutes because these are the ones that know what's going on. They asked for this. They might not have thought that it was going to go as bad as it has, but you know, hey, they asked for it. All right. Acknowledgements, table of contents. Yeah. All right, so let me go over some notes. All right, so what is Project 2025? A conservative movement's plan to be ready to govern immediately if a conservative wins the 2024 presidential election. Inspired by the Heritage Foundation 1980 mandate for leadership, which helped shape Reagan's administration. Asserts that today's federal government is weaponized against conservative values and must be deconstructed. Aims to reverse cultural and political shifts conservatives see as threats to liberty and traditional values. Why now? Presidents are most powerful in their early days. So planning must begin well before the election, not after. Government has become too big and complex for last minute planning. The conservative movement believes it has one shot to reform the government in 2025. Who's involved? Over 50,000 conservative organizations have joined together under this initiative and still are growing. It's movement wide effort, not tied to one candidate, but rather ready to support whoever wins on the right. What's the goal? Assemble an army of trained, vetted, and committed conservatives. Be ready to take over and reshape federal agencies starting day one of the new administration and equip everyday conservatives to serve in Washington or support those who will. The four pillars that the project highlighted, let's go ahead and look back at them pillars because that was very important. So when people start talking, you be able to know what the pillars are. All right. So pillar one, policy book, a comprehensive guide on how each federal agency should be run under conservative leadership, notes disagreements where they exist, leaving the final choice to the future president. Pillar two, personnel database, a hiring tool to connect potential conservative appointees with the new administration, helps streamline political appointments and staffing. So with the pillar two, that tool is basically is if you don't think like us, you're not going to get the chance. Pillar three, administration academy, online training for new public servants and in-person seminars for experienced officials. Teaches how government works and what's expected of conservative leaders. And the last pillar, pillar four, transition playbook. Teams are already drafted transition plans. And the last part of transition playbook, ready to act the moment the president says, "So help me God." Final message. Project 2025 is both a call to action and a blueprint for conservative governance. Conservatives are urged to join the mission and help restore the republic. All right. So we do have some images to share and everything. I'm gonna go ahead and stop this to allow for the chapters to be the next one. See you in a little bit so we can go over the authors. This is very important for democracy.